Yeah. Funny that, like, learning to do that is a lot easier than me learning to do the shallowing. That's take longer for me to get into my head to do.
Yeah.
Work it, because I can see what I've built myself, but it's much more than I've got to think about it.
Yeah, if there's still a bit of tip, the arms will want to get higher. The point of trying to explain it in a way is that we want your body to feel as if it creates more of the energy rather than your arms having to create the energy. And when you were kind of tipping rather than turning, the extension of the chest usually needs really high arms. And the point was in my first lesson, help me get you deeper in your turn and less tip towards target, which should get the arms to pitch a little bit shallower at the top. But sometimes if there's still that little bit of pelvis sway off the door, it will kind of set that domino effect for high arms. So if you really feel as if that's struggling to change, it could be because the lower half still isn't quite there. Yeah. So it's always trying to put the focus in the best areas possible. But I don't think you
You know as well when it's something like,
oh, you ready? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The instant feedback you feel.
Right. I wouldn't really judge the first few if you're what then?
Like, getting numbers. Yeah,
Good numbers.
I'm getting away a little more, I think, as my workshops are like, they're good still.
Yeah.
They're not like horrendous anymore. Like, oh, that's still, like the other day, we just moved the ball in the wind. It's like, one shot,
Yes, it's the classic double your higher avoidance is more key for getting better. Even if you get to like a real low handicap, sub 5, it's still more key, not necessarily to try and make more birdies, but really just make less bogeys and make doubles. So if that's the balance shot, the numbers are fantastic.
It's that kind of thing. It's like, I'd rather have like double bogey 3 rounds than have like 4 days and 5 double bogeys.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit easier on the emotions.
Yeah.
Birdies and doubles.
Lower and closer around.
Yeah, exactly. Would you say the miss is consistently more than?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely like the big left. That's kind of gone really.
Yeah.
It's just me leaving it out to the right one now.
Is that consistent through that as well? Shortcut?
Yeah, probably more. The shortcut aren't as bad as long ones are. Say like maybe a 4 or 5 would be a bit more towards the bunker than it was the 9 kind of thing. It kind of gets further out and goes up.
Okay. Good swing time.
Yeah, my main thing is like concentration, like using my thoughts I'm going around. Like first when I was great, I do first 12, and I start like wandering off in my brain. No, keep it like in the head, but
It's obviously in that first lesson. It's inputs over outputs, and if the inputs are always fluctuating, always changing, even if it's just, excuse me, you're less focused on the move itself, there might be a whole reason to feel really uncomfortable, and it's like it's a bit of a block phase. It's the shot that you're worried about, and there's a hole which you've got to hit with 2 iron, for example, and there's out of bounds 20 yards right. That will have an effect on how well you focus on your inputs, because you'll be worried about a potential output problem.
yeah.
But it's always key, just try and find a pre-shot routine where you start to check things off. Not loads of swing thoughts, but you go, okay, is it like setup that I want to focus on, and just try and keep the inputs as constant as you possibly can.
I think one thing with the driving, all my does really is when I start going wrong, because I'm speeding up.
Yeah.
Yes, I've got to keep it there. No, slow down and don't rush to get the top. And
Yeah.
that's what you know. And that last one just took it easy. And it's like, that's what works better, basically.
Yeah.
Don't rush it.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Okay, I'm going to get a couple of videos. I'm just going to stand in front of the camera.
Yes,
Love that. Love that.
anything like, I'm going to shadow it out. Then I feel myself opening the attack angle, moving back lower and trying to not forget. It's so steep, it's easier to get there.
Well, it definitely feels that way. It's not always, being steeper in plane can steep angle the tank. It's not always quite as black or white as that. But you will find that, part of our thing was that when you tip and that causes that steepness, you can't really keep turning left through strike, because it would usually mean that the club moves more outside and then works more inside. So the slice of the big ball gets worse. Whereas when you turn around your spine angle a little bit more kind of flat in your head, it would actually allow you to rotate more into your lead side, and that would give you a better chance of sequencing your downswing more lower half thirds and delaying your low point rather than trying to feel as if you throw the head steeper into the floor. Does that make sense? The difference between those two? Yeah. So you're completely right. It could potentially show an angle attack, but that's always guaranteed. That's okay. 5 degrees down, 3 degrees down for the 9-iron. It's happy. It wouldn't have been a little bit more than that. I'm not sure what way.
Back off. I've never been there. None of us are.
I don't think anybody is.
No,
nobody is.
It was like, back away. Like, yeah, man, I've got it over. Like, standing a bit or long tee. Like, back off. But nope. Keep this balance. Work it out in the swing. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. So, let's have a little look at these videos. So you've got one there. It's definitely a lot better than the very first session. A lot better. I think you still need to do a little bit of work on the pelvis going way back. It's just creeping in a little bit. But generally, beautiful. So, you know you're doing that. It's quick. Done it a few times. Yeah, a few times. Yeah, don't worry about that. So, on the left, setup is great. I'm tempted to get your lead hand a bit more out into the fingers. Your glove hand a little more into the fingers, as I think it would allow you to spread the face up a little bit more. Definitely like more like, it should have been like more like.
Yeah, you grip it quite in palm, so I would literally just bring it out. I would keep it rather grip it as if you pull the hand was more there. So you would make the grip. Yeah, and then this heel pad sits roughly in the top corner. So it will feel as if this pad is more on the top of the club.
Yes.
But it's like, imagine if you go to Tesco's and you pick up your basket, you wouldn't grip it in the palm, you would just pick it up in the fingers and everything else. And it's very, very simple. Might allow you to spread the face a little bit easier. It just gets a little bit palm and a little bit weak, which can cause that miss off to the right. So when you say things like, you said something along the lines of, I didn't square it, or you were going to say, I didn't turn my hands over.
Yeah.
Like I did in the right. Yeah. You just shouldn't really have to feel too much of that. There's always forearm rotation in a golf swing, but you shouldn't feel as if you're really going to try and rip the toe over to try and draw it. If you grip a little more on the fingertips, it should feel as if it happens a little bit easier.
Right. As soon as you said it, like flashes of me being a junior, like you could listen to like John Clements back at West Hill a long time ago. So he was like, yeah, get the pads and start with that. Yeah. It's like, it's like 25 years, I've forgotten it, but
yeah. It's little stuff, all line up, all take your time. So basically, it's a good little checkpoint to be to lace the grip through the middle 2 knuckles, wrap the fingers around. Yeah, that's it, and then wrap the tongue on top. So you're going to feel a couple of things. The thumb of the lead hand will feel as if it would work more under the golf club like that. Yeah. Down a little. Yeah, exactly. And then the second part, if you hinge the club up to the parallel to the ground, the ground is fine. That's it. And then if you took all your fingers off and thumb, apart from your index finger, it should just press up against the hand. Yeah. Whereas if it's a little bit too far into the palm, it will tend to roll out. Which you can imagine, as this downswing is happening in this club heads get quite heavy. it will want to throw itself to the ground easier. Whereas if you've got the pad on the top of the grip, you are able to hold on to your ankles a little bit longer. I don't always believe that holding onto the ankles is the key to ball striking, but it's just essentially you are able to deliver more force on the handle and create a bit more leverage.
Yeah.
Whereas when it gets in the palm, it's very difficult to create leverage. Okay? So just get a couple for me, just feeling out that grip. All I really want you to feel in these first few is that even though the grip might feel a bit quirky, might feel a bit strange,
I suppose I can get my right hand over it more as well.
okay, yeah, so the hand is too strong.
Now that it's thumbs over, I feel like I can get it.
Does that feel drastically different on top hand?
Not enough that it's going to be annoying. Yeah, it feels fine. It feels like I've got a good grip on the club.
Because that's just more of a neutral grip. That's not even strong, but it will feel like over the forearm essentially. Knock a couple away there. Right. Well done. Splash one, baby.
Ready to check off your Christmas wish list? Click your win plus, where you can win for the
Chip then. I never did that. Because you know you're not going to, but you get someone, no, I'm not going to hit it well. Sometimes it's like, that's not right.
I don't think we ever lose that feel, but what we start to just feel is that we understand what's a good swing, what's a bad swing.
Yeah.
Which even if, if this was your last lesson with me and you're like, oh, I know what I need to go and practice for the next 2 months, you would almost form this kind of mental roadmap as to what to tweak that will give you the immediate fit to the outcome, rather than stabbing in the dark and looking at symptomatic parts of the golf swing and you go, okay, what did I do on the third session which made me come less over the top? Oh, okay, I tick, so let's just not tick. And you get this really clear idea of what makes good and bad outcome. Good sign, mate, that's a good sign. I honestly, the numbers on the left there, actually, each one of those first 5, I would not change a single one.
Good.
This is fantastic, and this is what we're really after. So a swing direction 0, an angle of tap 3 down, equals the club path, which is 2 degrees inside outside. Do you remember the difference between club path and swing direction?
So inside, so I'm coming in to out.
Yeah.
The swing direction.
Swing direction, flip trick question. Swing direction is basically it's the same measurement. Where is your sweet spot moving relative to your target line? Out to in, into out, or into in, which is 0.
Yep.
But the swing direction is measured at your arc's lowest point, and the club path is measured at strike. So because we move this club in this tilted arc, they can be 2, or hopefully are 2 different numbers.
Yeah.
And down strike will push a path like it has done here. Down strike will push the path further right than where your swing direction is. So if I change that to 3 degrees up, it would be the opposite way around. This would still be 0, but that would be 2 degrees out to in. Yeah. So you just don't need to try and move your swing direction to the right, and you still hit a little 3-yard.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Awesome.
I'm going to encourage you to go to a little bit more. Just a bit. That's it, yeah. Come. And I won't be saying anything like that. Stop. Stop.
Some yardage there.
Yeah,
Turn over a bit. So basically, still a bit longer to the left. However, numbers are still great on the left hand side. Face to path is 6 degrees closed.
Let me do that.
Yeah, so that bit you had right at the start where you were like, if I don't square it, so we're having to try and get it square,
Yeah.
is due to the face being a bit too weak to begin with.
Okay.
So you're constantly trying to get it to turn over, rather than someone just making a swing and he hits a draw. In my opinion, it's easier to have the face a bit stronger and feel as if you don't have to turn it over to make it draw, but really just don't make it shut too much.
Yeah.
Rather than have it weaker and more open and having to time up the amount you shut it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In my world, doing the first one where it's stronger and you just kind of keep it passing through strike is easier for most people
Yeah.
than getting it really open and having to really turn over a big
Makes sense.
So I don't mind if in the next 20 minutes we see more turnover left because you would just feel quiet with the hand through strike.
Yeah, almost good. Now with the new grip, so I want to.
Yeah.
I'm so used to having that armour and hand further around.
Yeah.
So I've got it once get right. So I just feel as if through strike, it kind of maintains like this. As opposed to having to hook, yeah. So come down to us. Yeah, you got the knock where you got. Yep, big time.
Just do a few more, then we'll just double check whether the
Almost too cold. So, very good. Very good. Just one more down, so that's great. Love it.
I mean, that's pretty good.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that is fantastic. 0.9, 3 degrees down, 3 degrees to the right, 1 degree shut. Properly good. Properly good. So I guess if there was like one thing to work on, this next part will be very, very similar to what we've done, just to try and try and encourage you and to get you going to the first of all. But if you left it over that swing, it's basically just trying to keep the inputs exactly the same. Sometimes it's people hit badly because they're just trying to get used to the new movement.
Yeah.
Like the lesson this morning, he was literally, incredibly steep and out here, and then we've got him here. But that's a long way to join up the hammer and the nail.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's like the change is so different, it's a positive change, but the ball striking can take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Whereas you're hitting it great, and you just need to try and apply yourself in a really similar way,
Yeah.
or the same way, as often as you can. So when you hit balls, how do you practice?
So there's 55 balls in the bucket we get down the range.
Yeah.
And so I haven't got it with me, but I usually walk the bike, I've got a 7-iron, but I've got the weird grip on it.
Okay.
The boulder grip.
Oh yeah, fine.
So I just kind of like to start chipping away at that, maybe 5 balls, then I'll go straight to the 9.
Yeah.
So it almost feels like I've got my bottom half, might re-grip it down, but hey.
It should be okay.
Yeah.
It usually sit in a slightly stronger spot. Though.
Yeah, that's probably why it feels weird when I'm trying to fix it while I get used to it.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get my hands down there.
Exactly.
And then, I'll probably do 10 to 12 balls with the 9-iron, and then I'll probably either jump up to the 7 wood, hit like 5 balls with that, 5 balls with the driver, I go back down to the 9, and then I usually finish with like 5 drivers.
Okay.
Or I've got the 2 ones as well now, so that's like half.
So if you were to look at your typical round and look at your scores out of that round, I don't really believe in in practicing as if you're playing them. I get how it, encourages you to change clubs and swap and change like you do on the golf course, but I think when you practice, I much prefer nowadays like block practice.
Yeah.
So I used to love the 9-shot box drill, so low, medium and high, fade, straight and draw. I used to love trying to hit all of these different shots. The problem is with that, when you go and play, suddenly, even if you can hit all of those shots, sometimes it's not first time anyway. So you need a couple of shots to really find that window.
Yeah.
And it's kind of similar when you're working on your swing. If you constantly keep changing the length of the lever and therefore the swing plane, therefore the angle of attack, I like to just basically, you either work on driver after a 10-minute warm-up, you work on driver, because that's basically going to be one of the biggest influences on how well you can score, being in playing fairly long. And then from there, work on 7-iron and below. Like how many 5-irons and 4-irons would you hit in a typical round? Relative, relative to a wedge or an 8-iron, where you might have 150 left, and that might be a comfortable 80 or whatever it might be. So it's like sometimes we can chop and change and hit lots of different shots, but sometimes not actually use the clubs that we use most.
Yeah.
And I remember a guy told me 2 years ago in a comp where he was on something crazy, like I think it was 7 or 8 per hours in a year on that circuit we play, like the teaching circuit, which is just a phenomenal amount. And I said to him, I was like, is there one area which you really kind of worked on and really focused on? And he was like, it's so simple. He was like, you know what? I realised that the courses we play, which might be 6'2" to 6'6", 100 yards.
Yeah.
He was like, I found out he was always hitting with my pitching wedge. So I was always hitting 130 to 135 yards all the time.
Yeah.
So he was like, in my practice, I basically hit tons of driver and tons of that yardage.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I would get it and I would think I'm going to hit it within 10 feet. He might not, statistically, but he made his practice and he works in the areas that he hits the most when he plays. And that's the only tricky part of you chop and change so much. It makes sense. From the technique side of it, it also makes sense to just plan out loads of short irons, loads of driver, because those are the two areas where we want to see a consistent shape and good ball striking with short iron, and a consistent shape without a big miss for the drive. Like we'll go driving in the short iron.
I think there was a kid years ago, that's not ago, but it was Justin Rory, they're like, how many touching practice on Dustin's like 9%, 150 yards.
Yeah.
That's where all the score points come from.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah. People are like, try to hit a draw, like, maybe you hit one in about last 3 years.
Yeah.
Now stick to the fade and then. Okay.
It was have you ever heard of guys with Scott Fawcett?
A decade ago. Yeah.
So he put that video I think on part of the course that I did, and he was like, I think was it Paul Harmon that was chatting to him. I think it was,
yeah.
And he was trying to probe him like, when would you get a draw? And DJ was like, basically never. I never try to get a draw. So my favourite, my typical shape.
Yeah.
So it's easier to have one shape and control the trajectory than it is to try and hit 3 trajectories with 3 different shapes.
Yeah.
And just from an A of 1 is the absolute dream. So the grip for you is going to make the face more square. You need that right to left curve more often. But then it's just a case of regulating how much right to left curve you get. If you've got a swing around the corner, there's more release. If it's just a stock shot like that, there's a bit less release on that. So some pretty simple stuff.
I always think as well that when I go to the range, to stop temptation, I only take certain gloves.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to go down to 6 hours a day to leave that on.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you get there, someone's like getting driver like 2 days down. No, I'll see if I can out drive. Like, no.
Start being a bit of like a bit of a show.
Yeah, it's something. No, I don't want to do that.
It's just make it super, make it as close to your game as you can without the idea of just hitting any type of backhand. Yeah. So let's look at the working style. The main part today is the quality of the whole of the club. That would be really key. As we look at the face on view on the left, and for you, I don't know whether you favour more face on or down the line when you film yourself in practice, but I think if you focus on where you are from the face on perspective, you'll be able to work out where you are from a down perspective. So like I said, when you tip, you get your higher arm, so maybe video motion from down the line would show you the higher arm, so then you're trying to get your arms lower, but if you're still tipping,
yeah,
it's going to focus on the areas that you use out. Generally,
yeah, try and keep that
that ball practice, you can see I've moved off the. To be honest, mate, it's a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a lot better. And you can see the arms at the top from the downward line are deeper and less high.
Club's still behind, or almost.
Yeah, like if you keep your right hip raised there, so you know we're still seeing maybe a little bit too much bend in the leg, and we don't see a whole lot of space in between the knees. If you try to get your right elbow more in front without turning more, it would very, very likely, speaking of swing training, it would half more left.
Okay.
So the whole point of moving to the last one was because your sway was much, much better.
Yeah.
So I think you know what to do with the arms that we did last time. Let's just rekindle a couple of feelings of the lower half, and it should feel a hell of a lot easier. But generally, it's hugely better. The reason why it gets a little bit heavy occasionally is because when your chest is situated, like if I can put a line through the middle of your chest, which is probably about here, and draw one line down, you can see how your chest falls in front of the middle of your pelvis.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd love that to be a bit more centered.
Yeah.
If anything, more drawbacks and more pelvis left. But as you start to rotate the upper half first, that can get the hands getting quite out in front of you quite early, which can cause the sweet spot to dry a bit too fast. So if you fix or continue to work on the sway during the backswing pelvis, you'll find you'll be able to hit more inside the ball, not inside outside, but just the arm feeling more inside. Yeah. So we're just going to rekindle the field. So into a setup.
You know, Thermal was amazing with the product that's on that Nelly board, but they it's sort of slow mo and then she's here. I think it's the hardest thing I want to do is hit here and then the hip turn first.
Yeah.
How it's so I know what to do. Brent says, no mate, just go there.
Yeah, exactly. It's honestly the amount of times where the setup of the backswing are out of alignment. So in your world, the pelvis is behind the chest.
Yeah.
So getting your pelvis to rotate first would cause your arms to kick way outside. So because you're good, it actually makes more sense from here to have more thrust forward of the pelvis rather than twist. But then because you're thrusting so heavily left, it's very difficult for you to rotate. So it's almost like you're not doing it at the minute, and particularly with your old swing, which has way more sway to it, because it did make sense to have it.
Yeah.
Whereas when you would get to a backswing and the pulse is more left, it would feel way easier to do, for sure. But
So was it all my secret.
I can bang in the right one. So what I want you to do, I'm going to put this club on your right pocket. Okay? So just place the club on the outside of the right hip. Rather than your right hip push against the club, okay, and keep it on your right side.
Yeah.
I want to make the club fresh. I want to drop the club behind you and get the ball towards target. So it's going to feel as if your pelvis does this. And drops the club forward.
Gotcha.
Yeah?
Not that way.
Yeah. Exactly. Look back towards the camera, but towards the camera. You're just going to rehearse a couple of actions while you don't hit them. You can chip through if you want to, but just rehearse a couple of times. Well done. This is doing that, so I keep it.
Yeah, I was going to keep it.
I'm going to let go a little bit deeper. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Really go strong. Excellent. Well done. Well done. On this one, you're going to chip through. I'm going to go out of the way, so I'll go well there. So take it up slowly, almost as if you could count to 3 on the way up, and then chip it through. Well done. Well done. Superb.
That's almost instant feedback thing, isn't it? I like that because I do the ball at home, but it's hard to do the ball when you're on the range.
Yeah. It's nice to be able to hit it at the same time as doing the drill.
Yes.
Trick the foot from the inside. Good swing plane. Roll. Okay. Brilliant. So that actually looks more toe side more than anything. Oh, it's pretty flush. So you get any feels in particular?
That helps to get in. That is the good feeling.
Yeah.
Really like pulling that, not just like turning, pulling that hip back and around on yourself.
Yeah.
So that first, just turning a bit, so, that goes that way.
Yeah. Essentially, because the pelvis is tilted, that's the tip to your pelvic there.
Yeah.
So your right hip doesn't just go up. So your right hip would go this way usually. Away from target high. It does work up, but it has to move more around.
Yeah.
It moves in a circle. Yeah. So it's still higher than your left hip because we are turning our pelvis around a tilt. But yours would just have too much. Yours would have too much of the kind of, it's like someone's got a puppet string and then you're getting up on that right hip rather than allowing it to turn, and it will get the right height almost. Really slow. Perfection. Beautiful. So count yourself up again. Just let it take 2 or 3 seconds to make that backswing, and then nudge it through. Good. Love it.
It feels more secure.
That's good.
Yeah, it feels like once I've got this hand on top of it, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah. It's very much the movement in your palm rather than the base of the finger or first knuckle. So same thing, count 2 or 3 seconds up, drop the clock to the start. So you see the difference with this.
And of course, you can't count it.
I put it 1.5 seconds. It's just a sensation, right? It's just because it's a backswing field, and because it's almost it's the way you take the club away. It's the way you start the swing. So just doing it slower gives you a bit of time to consciously influence it rather than just autopilot. So this is incredibly different. Incredibly different. So as the first before.
With the lines and damage can run into your pelvic shots, but if you switch to a backswing rhythm, we'll get you into solution as quickly as possible. The right line, we're on it.
Easy, yeah. It's not just
Literally not at all.
yeah.
That is absolutely sensational. And I know we didn't do it down the line, but your arms actually look a little bit deeper.
Only slightly, leg pain's kind of as bad as it is to give the
Yeah,
it isn't too much.
there's a few different ways you can start to reduce the pelvis on the way back. Either think about what you want to try and do with your pelvis, i.e. the golf ball on your right hip, the Swiss ball up against the wall on your left hip, or you think about where you want the weight to move in your feet, which is quite a nice one when you go play. I think this one is the one you react best to, the club on your right pocket. But you can see how the pressure on your right foot on the left is almost moving towards the outside of the foot, and on the lead foot is moving towards the inside of the foot. So it's almost moving kind of this way. So inside of the left foot, outside of the right foot. Whereas now, because the hip's moving in the right direction, back and around, the pressure in that right foot is moving more back towards the heel.
Yeah.
And because this lead leg is coming forwards, it moves towards the front of that.
Yeah.
So toe heel force is a really good rotational force. It would either be one of those 3 things, and they often will. You'll see someone react best to a certain feel. Some people like to feel to the feet.
Yeah.
We've just got club in your right pocket, so you drop it towards target, and suddenly you're in an absolutely fantastic place.
It's swimless, isn't it?
That is, I mean, on the left was an improvement
from where you were.
Yeah.
That on the right is really what we're after, because then you would really hit. What's the shape of the drive at the minute? Driving.
The big drive is probably either going to be straight or probably going to fall to the left.
Okay.
That one's pretty straight. To be fair.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit pushy out to the right, but
Yeah. So if you were to hit 2 or 3 degrees up with the driver,
yeah.
and your swing would be around, your swing direction would be around 1, 2 or 3. If you hit a few degrees up, your path could potentially get more out to in the same swing direction. And that's why looking at path on its own individually, rather than looking at a pair of swing direction, angle of attack, and therefore paths, is much better, because if you just look at paths, you're not really understanding how the angle of attack is happening and how it's influencing it. Whereas when you look at those two together, you kind of look at that and go, okay, well, I hit 1.5 down, the chippy rehearsal swing, but that pushed my path further up where I was swinging. That's how I hit draw, and I don't have to try and throw to the side. If you wanted to try and hit a draw driver, your swing direction would have to be more like 5-ish.
Okay.
If it's 1, 2 or 3, like you're on average 1.4, you will fade the driver still, even though this feels quite draw wise.
Yeah.
Because of the level of upstructure.
Yeah.
So it's one thing to keep an eye on. But I love that. Let's get a couple of videos from down the line. Brilliant. Good work. Same again, counting yourself up. So good. That's the best you swung it.
Feel, yeah,
That's the best you swung it.
feels much good.
Well done, mate. Well done. That is effectively your winter work done with that. I mean, if you text me in a few weeks and the path might potentially get too far inside outside, then you can start to work on turning more through the ball. But I reckon you play great golf just trying to maintain where you're at.
Yeah.
And I think you can make some small changes to how you move through the ball. Like when you are tipping towards target, like I said earlier, you can't really turn, you have to slide back across the sort of fine angle. We might double check that in the future, but I think where you are now, and I'm going to try and put on a video from one of our first sessions.
That was it, the whole thing.
I mean, this is wild, the difference. Right. I'm sorry to remind you of where you were.
Oh, yeah.
But this this is just going to show you how good the move is. Ready?
Yeah.
So, it's a really good question.
It's in my face.
So, one of the big ones was the lack of turn. And you're completely right, how on the toes you were was quite impressive. You've got to have a strong calf muscle to keep yourself up right there, whereas this is, I think maybe this was that last swing, but this one before, but you compare it.
Gap in the
Huge gap in the
Oh,
legs.
he's got there.
Amazing.
Subway short otherwise as well.
Yeah. So, you know, you don't really need to go through what's different. It's pretty obvious. But weight through the front of the foot, head falling forward, a lack of turn through the lower half, and a subsequent struggle to create any form of depth during backswing. Now we see pressure more back in the right foot. We see a much deeper turn of the pelvis. So the telltale sign that on the lead intake is the astroturf through between the kneecaps. A more lower pitching lead arm. And the subsequent and consequential depth you get to that. I mean there's been 3 or 4. Three.
Yeah.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. It is going to be more draw bias in the short term. The reason behind that is that when you get the shaft on plane and when you get into the backswing where you're on the left, you can draw it or you can fade it. It will just depend on your certain things like your level of lateral movement during the downswing will cause more draw or fade bias. Less lateral movement, more fade bias, more lateral full target, more draw bias, and other aspects like that. It's not that the draw is the dream shot and then the perfect shot. If you hit it great and you play really well with the draw, it is for you. But if you said actually, when you play in the next 2 months, you might come back and say, oh, the big one is actually a bit of an overdraw left, which you might not like, so we might tweak these then, but generally it's fantastic. Downswing, I mean, having to slide quite heavily across. Shaft shallowing out. And this, I can't remember what your swing foot was when you came in. You came in with
the left shoulder down to the right foot.
That was it.
That.
Yeah. Well, no need. This is you having to almost force the club shower, which is why the mitts can get a bit both ways, and it's tough to really challenge. Maintain. The challenge becomes you don't need to try and shallow it anymore. It's more just the case that you're in a backswing which delivers a conveniently into our club path, a convenient swing plane. It's not something you have to try and create on the way down. Your focus is on, can I get the grip up in 136? Can I get my right moving more towards target rather than away from target? And that should set the downswing to deliver the club more shallow and where you need it to be. Like I said, if we could just start to kind of encourage out of you a little bit more twist through strike, that would be great.
So my shoulder a bit more open.
It's
still a bit closed.
It's still a little bit shut, but you're so used to having to keep everything shut because of where the shaft is on this right hand side. Like as I said earlier, if you turn from there, hypothetically, if you pull this left shoulder more back and the hip more back, the hands will more out. The shaft wouldn't necessarily get steeper, but the hand part would move very much to the top of it. So you hover it more and more. So you kind of built this lack of turn and more fall through strike because it actually helps you develop. In the interim before next session after Christmas, if you start hitting a bit of an overdraw, it's purely about you're in a better position on the way back, and then we can move on to more downswing oriented stuff. But even if you're like Lewis up doing 3 lessons, happy with everything's right, you don't say great golf. I think that's absolutely fantastic. It's a huge jump from where you were.
I'm booked in the second week again.
Oh, really? Brilliant. Love that. Mate, that's awesome. That's wicked.
It's stable side I quite like as well. I'm not hitting it and having to step forward, or it's just like the trunk of it. So she sees myself stable and easy to swing through and just not get stuck in myself. I think it seems to be easier.
The feet, legs, hips, and core are almost like the engine and the trunk. And if you can keep that stable and you get the horsepower out of the engine.
Hey Simon, hope you're okay. Thanks for your time on Saturday. It was good to get going and good to catch up. And even better to see the amount of progress you've made recently. I think we're really going to have a good year next year. you're hitting it great. I think we've just got to trust how you're hitting it and keep applying ourselves in the same way every time, and we get these good outcomes. Okay, so one of the real keys that we're just going to battle with, over the next few months, and a habit which would need to gradually get better, is the quality of the slide. Now, obviously when you come in and you say, I'm still struggling to get my arms deeper, it feels a bit weird when I try and get them deeper, that's always, and I mean literally always, because the pelvis is still sliding from side to side. So on this left-hand side, we can see the pelvis move slightly away from the target, nowhere near as bad as you were, but you can see how the upper half, the chest, is wanting to move towards your target, and the lower half is wanting to move away from target. Whereas on the right-hand side, we can really see how well you load into that trail hip. The sway line on the right-hand side of your hip there is actually being kind of broken by your lead hip, which I actually really like. I think you are going to be in a much better place to hit either shape. You could hit draws or fades from this spot, but now we can see the center of the chest versus the center of the pelvis is in a much, much more favorable position. And you can actually tell that the arms do look a little bit deeper on the right hand side, whereas on the left, the hands just look like they're a little higher and a bit closer to the camera. And this kind of, it's almost like a reverse pivot in a way, will often cause slightly more unfavorable driving, a slightly steeper transition, because again, the chest is wanting to move first. That can cause the hands to kick outwards. And obviously we're going to get some problems there. But now on the right hand side, we can see how you can do a much better job of keeping the chest and the pelvis more synced up. And it should deliver a much more consistent draw shape. Not saying a draw is the absolute dream, but I think for you and the way you move it and grip style, etc., I think it would really, really help. So outside of that, just a slightly stronger grip in that lead hand, and you're absolutely good to go. So well done, mate. Thank you.